Good morning and good afternoon to everyone, depending on where you are coming from this morning to join us in this conversation. A very, very warm welcome to you all. My name is Sohini, and I'm the CEO and president of an organization called Breakthrough. We work across India and the United States of America to transform gender norms that makes violence against women and girls unacceptable. We build the breakthrough generation who will make this unacceptable by taking bold and authentic action. I'm going to talk today about our work in India with a gender equity curriculum across 1,200 low resource, marginalized government schools. We work with about 500,000 adolescents with this curriculum, both in schools as well as in community. The idea is built around the school as the fulcrum for norm change. If we are to change discriminatory gender norms and ensure that girls reach their full potential, then we have to shape adolescent gender attitudes at an age when views are malleable and requisite reasoning capacity to question norms still exists. For this to happen at a large scale, schools are the best institutions to collectivize adolescents, create a more gender sensitive education system, which is empathetic and responsive to the need of adolescent girls. That is the central idea. The other idea is that we need to work with both boys and girls if we believe in gender equality. The curriculum is available for 11 to 18-year-olds in schools, but very often we find that girls drop out of schools between 14 and 18, so that we have to work with the 15 to 18-year-olds in communities. As a critical outcome, once adolescents complete this program, we encourage them as young adults, 18 plus, so between 19 to 25 years, to become change agents in their communities, taking action against gender based violence and discrimination around them. Breakthrough works extensively with this group to train them directly and to engage with them through media products to build their capacity to catalyze change. Finally, then, this will be the breakthrough generation who will make violence against women and girls unacceptable in the long run. I'm going to share a small PowerPoint presentation with you to talk about this curriculum in detail. So just give me a minute, please. I hope you all can, see my screen. Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to talk about Taaron ki Toli, or Gang of Stars. I'm not going to dwell too much on these statistics. India has a whole range of issues around violence against women and girls, from not being allowed to be born to facing discrimination in nutrition and education at a very young age, to being taken off school to tend to household chores and siblings in adolescence, to getting married much early before the actual legal age or even before you want to get married, to early pregnancy, to facing sexual harassment and domestic violence throughout. There's a whole cycle of violence that women and girls in India continue to face. And so it becomes very, very important to work with them at a young age when they can understand and recognize the role that they can play in making this unacceptable. What do we aim for in the program? We aim for empowering adolescents, building up their voice and agency about their own lives, about their own decisions, and about their own rights. We create supportive families so that they learn to value and worth of the girls. And we create an enabling ecosystem which will support the girl if she stands up and protests against something, or she wants something, or she aspires for something. All of this actually increase or a greater uptake of services on health and education for girls and boys as well. And collectively, we want to see a shift in gender norms in the days to come. It's a tall order, but it is possible. How did we start out? We started out in 2014 after an extensive evaluation of a program on domestic violence, which found that women who are married as young girls, as 12 and 13 and 14, face an increased rate of domestic violence and have are not at all equipped to actually fight that domestic violence. So we thought, why not work with younger generation, the younger age group? So we started out in Haryana, one of the most gender regressive states in India, across 150 government schools with about 12,000 adolescents. And we had an RCT, which was conducted by JPAL at MIT, to understand the impact of this program. The program is like this. We have a 2-year-old school-based gender equity program for 11 to 14-year-olds. And then we can continue in the school if we find the 15 to 18-year-olds in the same school, or we work with this curriculum with added layers in it in the communities. At the same time, there's a community and parental engagement through media, through community mobilization, through games. And use of mass media, popular culture, and arts is done to build a larger community dialogue and set agendas around gender equality in society. The design of the curriculum has 32 in-classroom sessions using interactive games that you play traditionally in Indian societies and villages, interactive, activities, plus, small homeworks given at the end of each chapter. There are 12 assembly sessions using media arts and tech that is done for the whole school. And so students who are not part of Toli can also participate in them. For the 11 to 14-year-olds, we use a workbook to deliver life skills education in the school. For the 15 to 18-year-olds, along with the workbook, we have created 8 audiovisual episodes where Pinky and Pankaj, these two, very typical 14-year-olds in Indian villages, are the two mascots who talk about various issues in adolescents' lives, including masculinity, including sexual harassment, and sharing of domestic chores. They help build engagement in a fun and friendly way, in a non-threatening way, in a way which is entertaining. And we always have one teacher who is with the program right from the beginning to build, a safe space in the school itself. So the curriculum builds self-confidence. It teaches negotiation skills to have difficult conversations. It also encourages intergender and intergenerational discussions and conversations. Very often we see in rural India that even though schools are co-ed, there is literally a wall between the girls and the boys section. They're made to sit separately. They're not allowed to play together. And we have gone into a village in Haryana to see a wall between the girls and the boys section, though it's a co-educational school. It also helps adolescents to realize their rights, recognize discrimination and violence in their lives. And, in the later age, in 15 to 18, they also get ideas about actions that they can take on them. It helps create a safe environment in school, a safe space in school with your peers and your teachers and other stakeholders where you can talk about, difficult and taboo subjects, including menstruation. The evaluation was done to actually create an evidence around gender norm change. There is evidence, but we thought, there isn't enough evidence on this. So we looked at both attitude and behavior change. We looked at how it impacted boys and girls differently. There is a cost effectiveness study, which is still going on. And there is a long-term behavior change study to see whether the behaviors or the attitudes that they showed when they were 15, 16, 17, are they still sticking when they're 18, 19, 20, and 21? And we're very, very excited to say that we have seen changes and we have seen those behaviors sticking. So the results in 2017, when the first inline happened, we saw a significant increase in gender attitude index as well as the behavior index, not just for girls, but also for boys. In fact, more for boys because social sanction for girls to take action on things like this were less. They're still less. There's no significant increase around, aspiration levels for girls. But now in the second end line, which was done over 1920, and the results came out in May 2020, we see that uptick for college education for girls have increased by 8%, which is significant. There are more conversation about higher education for girls in the families where there were more intergenerational dialogues on this. Overall, the program has shown a 16% increase in gender equitable views 4 years after the program. And boys' attitudes actually have improved over time. All this makes us really hopeful that if public schools, if government schools in India and government education departments actually prioritize this and adapt the curriculum, then we will begin to see a sea change over the next 5 to 6 years. We are in conversation with two government departments of education in two states to see if this curriculum can be merged with the mainstream curriculum, and we are hopeful that this will happen. I'm going to end with a short clip of the film that we have done with these two mascots, Pinky and Pankaj. I hope this plays.
मैं हूँ पिंकी और मैं हूँ पंकज। हम दोनों क्लास 10th में पढ़ते हैं। पंकज मेरा बेस्ट फ्रेंड है। हम पड़ोस में रहते हैं। जब हम छोटे थे ना, तब से इसे जानती हूँ। अब बड़ा हो गया है, लेकिन है वैसे का वैसा। सारा टाइम बकबक। दोस्तों, ये तो पैदा ही टीचर हुई थी। पूरा दिन डांट डपट। आज भी वैसी है। ये मत करो, वो मत करो, ये सही है, वो गलत है। अच्छा, ऐसा क्या बोला मैंने? तू तो कभी किसी को कुछ कहती नहीं है। वो तो बस पड़ोस के सारे लड़के तुझसे ऐसे ही डरते हैं। काम ही ऐसा करते हैं। काम करते तो बेचारे डरते ही क्यों? वो तो काम करते ही नहीं है। अच्छा, तो तू मेरी खिल्ली उड़ा रहा है। ये देखो, खूंखार टीचर। अच्छा, तो मैं कुछ बोलूं ही ना। घर पे पड़े पड़े मूंगफली खाते रहोगे तो जरूर बोलूंगी। अरे, तुझे औरों से क्या लेना? क्यों नहीं लेना? सर पे चढ़ा रखा है लड़कों को। लड़के ना हुए बाजरे की कल की हो गए। अरे, जब बड़े हो जाएंगे तब काम करेंगे ना। और तब तक घर में भी तो हाथ बटा सकते हो ना। मेहमान आए तो चाय पानी दे सकते हो। कभी बाबूजी को ला रोटी दे सकते हो। माँ और बहन के साथ पानी ला सकते हो। कितने छोटे छोटे काम होते हैं घर में, तू भी तो करता है। मैं तो स्पेशल लड़का हूँ, नाम है पंकज। कोई स्पेशल वेशल नहीं है तू, नॉर्मल है। मुझे तो खुद ही लगता है मैं नॉर्मल हूँ, पर बाकी के सब लड़के मजाक उड़ाते हैं मेरा। उड़ाने दे, ना खुद करना ना औरों को करने देना। तू चिंता मत कर पिंकी, मैं उनकी बातों का बुरा नहीं मानता। मुझे नहीं लगता कि मैं गलत करता हूँ। लड़कों को घर के काम करने चाहिए, बिना हिचक, बिना शर्म। इससे वो कोई कम लड़के नहीं हो जाते। क्यों, ठीक है ना लड़की? चल, इसी बात पे दे ताली।
आपका घर आपका अपना है, चाहे आप लड़के हो या लड़की। घर के छोटे बड़े कामों में दोनों को ही मिलजुल कर हाथ बटाना चाहिए। इससे कोई कम या ज्यादा नहीं हो जाता। साथ साथ काम करने से तो प्यार बढ़ता ही है। अगर घर वाले न समझे तो उन्हें प्यार से समझाएं। अपनी सोच, अपनी जिंदगी को नया रुख दें। आपकी जिंदगी आपकी अपनी है।
So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to take questions from you, but before I end, just like to take a few minutes to talk about what have we seen as changes. We've seen that if you talk about gender and rights to young people, they do not just stop at taking action uh, to change their own lives. Their actions actually changes the life of their families, of their communities. We had this young girl called Anjali coming from a very backward district in UP, Uttar Pradesh. And after being part of our curriculum for 6 months, she sat up one day and said, "My village is called garbage dump, Kudamau. Why should my village be called that?" Because of this, we do not get any invitation to festivities and weddings. We are perceived as a Dalit village, and people make fun of me in school. I'm going to change the name to Sundarnagar, which means beautiful city. She went to the head of the village, and they together put in a petition at the block development office. And together with her friends, they took out rallies, they wrote walls, they did everything, and people have already started calling this village Sundarnagar. This is just one example, and we have many. So happy to take questions from you now.